Joey Lima spoke for about 10 minutes today in court, much of the time in tears, telling State District Judge Andrew Hannon
that he will comply with all the orders of the commission. You can find his full statement online at valleycentral.com.
Who's now sentenced to 6 years in federal prison in order to pay $6.2 million in restitution.
By the time the arrest warrant was finally unsealed, the damage was no longer theoretical. It was measured in bodies, money, and silence. 437 kilos of seized across multiple states, 18 confirmed 2 federal agents executed in a foreign ambush, a tunnel stretching 120 meters beneath the U.S.-Mexico border, an entire county's justice system compromised, and one statistic that forced seasoned analysts to sit back and double-check their screens, a 93% acquittal rate in cartel-linked cases inside a single Texas courtroom. For 14 months, FBI analysts had tracked a pattern that defied probability, law, and institutional logic. Every time a case tied to the Gulf Cartel entered Court 404 of Cameron County, the outcome was the same. Charges dismissed, evidence suppressed, sentences reduced to symbolic penalties, defendants walked free, sometimes within hours. In a system built to absorb randomness, this was something else. This was precision. At first, the numbers were dismissed as coincidence. Border counties process heavy caseloads. Heavy volume creates noise. Noise distorts data, but the distortion never corrected itself. Instead, it sharpened. Seizures in Cameron County dropped 41%, while trafficking indicators rose. Informants stopped returning calls. Witnesses recanted testimony they had already given under oath. Physical evidence vanished from secured storage. And every analytical path, no matter how it was modeled, led back to the same courtroom, the same bench, the same name. Abel Lemus had spent 8 years as the presiding judge of the 404th District Court.
Former 404th State District Court Judge Abel Lemus is facing 10 years to life in prison, but his sentencing is taking place more than 2 years after he pleaded guilty to racketeering.
On paper, his resume was unimpeachable. Former defense attorney, former police officer, a background that suggested law enforcement instincts balanced by constitutional restraint. He spoke publicly about due process and judicial independence. His official salary barely crossed into 6 figures. Yet, financial records told a different story. Frequent first-class travel to Las Vegas, multiple properties on South Padre Island, border crossings into Matamoros at a frequency that exceeded any legitimate professional explanation. No red flags were raised, no internal audits were triggered, no ethics panels convened. The system trusted its own, and that trust became the opening. The investigation escalated when authorized wiretaps began capturing conversations that made no sense on the surface. References to golf appeared repeatedly, mentions of $8,000 balls, discussions of packages ready for delivery timed around court dates. It took weeks for analysts to decode the language. The terms were metaphors, deliberately banal, designed to pass casual review. And one name appeared in every exchange, a name no one wanted to say out loud at first, Abel Lemus. By that point, the scope had already expanded beyond one judge.
Restitution, in my opinion, it will never be paid. It can never be paid. The harm that was caused to all these people, to the legal community, was immense, and I don't think that that's ever going to be able to be paid, no matter what number you put on.
Federal investigators were no longer looking at isolated corruption. They were documenting a network: attorneys, clerks, prosecutors, border officers, financial intermediaries. The conclusion became unavoidable. The Gulf Cartel had not infiltrated Cameron County. According to the evidence, they had purchased it piece by piece. The trigger that broke containment came before dawn during a coordinated multi-agency operation planned down to the minute. 20 arrests across 5 counties. Currency exchanges raided. Attorneys detained mid-morning. Border Patrol officers quietly pulled from duty and escorted out of stations. A sitting district attorney accused of burying cases in exchange for $30,000 a month and a beachfront apartment. A state representative charged with tipping off targets about federal investigations. 11 local attorneys identified as brokers, collecting commissions on every favorable sentence. Courthouse employees caught deleting case files from official databases, erasing criminal histories as if they had never existed.
And a judicial officer publicly reprimanded after complaints he was dismissing cases for friends and family.
At 5:38 a.m., a single command cut through an encrypted federal frequency. All units in position. 6 primary targets confirmed. Armed resistance probable at multiple sites. Watches synchronized. Final authorization pending confirmation from Washington. The silence that followed lasted exactly 87 seconds. Then came the response. Green light. What followed was not a raid in the traditional sense. It was the dismantling of a system that had operated openly for years under the protection of legitimacy. The first battering ram hit Abel Limas's front door at 5:42 a.m. The reinforced wood gave way on the second impact. 12 FBI and ICE agents entered in tight formation, weapon-mounted lights cutting through the hallway. They found Limas awake in his private study, standing beside his desk, satellite phone in hand. When ordered to drop it, he did so slowly. Forensic analysis later revealed the final message he sent 3 minutes earlier. "They're coming. Burn everything." On the desk, beside files bearing official court seals, agents found 15 kilos of pure stacked with a casual order of office paper. Under the desk, a leather briefcase held $380,000 in cash, bundled with rubber bands stamped from Banco de Mexico. Behind a framed image of the Virgin of Guadalupe, a wall safe was cracked in 11 minutes. Inside were photographs of Limas seated in Matamoros, with men already identified as Gulf Cartel leadership, a forged Mexican passport bearing his face under a different name, and a black notebook that would alter the entire investigation. At the same moment, another team breached the Palm Boulevard mansion of District Attorney Armando Villalobos.
Access to good jobs and other luxuries. Former 404th State District Court Judge Abel Limas has reported to prison in a facility some call a federal country club.
When agents forced entry, they found him kneeling in front of a fireplace, feeding documents into open flames. Half-burned pages floated upward as one agent extinguished the fire and another restrained him on the marble floor. Recovered fragments, listed monthly payments, assigned attorneys, and repeated references to the judge and this month's quota. $83,000 sat in a gym bag under the bed. Villalobos did not resist. He did not speak. He stared at the ashes. A third team entered a currency exchange in downtown Brownsville. Behind a rack of tourist brochures, a hidden office housed high-speed printers, active terminals, and boxes of receipts documenting more than $60 million moved through accounts in Panama, the Cayman Islands, Houston, Dallas, and Atlanta. A remote wipe protocol was triggered from an external location and stopped seconds before completion. Data recovery exceeded 70%. It was enough. The fourth site lay outside Brownsville, a 30-acre ranch registered under the name of a Limas relative. Surveillance drones had detected armed patrols since before sunrise. Federal snipers neutralized perimeter threats before the assault team advanced. Beneath a stable floor, agents found a steel trap door.
Limas to serve his sentence at a federal prison camp in Pensacola, Florida. But Action 4 News learned that facility was once ranked as America's cushiest.
Below it, a tunnel, 120 meters long, reinforced concrete walls, electric lighting, rail tracks for cargo carts. It crossed directly beneath the border into Matamoros. Inside were 87 kilos of 42 kilos of and $200,000 in cash. On the American side wall hung a calendar matching shipment dates to Limas's court schedule. A whiteboard listed Border Patrol shift assignments, updated through the previous day. Handwriting analysis later confirmed it was his. The fifth target appeared abandoned, an industrial building with boarded windows and no visible activity. Inside, agents found a fully operational surveillance hub monitoring border crossings and access highways in real time. Federal radio frequencies were monitored continuously. Hard drives containing 18 months of intercepted communications were seized before destruction could be completed. By 6:47 a.m., all sites were.
The Judicial Conduct Committee found that Trejo had violated Texas Code of Criminal Procedure by pulling certain cases for the purpose of having an assistant district attorney dismiss them.
Secure. 23 individuals detained. 0 civilian casualties. 0 agent casualties. But the operation was only beginning. The black notebook recovered. From Limas's safe listed 27 names. Next to each name was a date and a single word, resolved. Analysts cross-referenced the names with federal databases. The results were immediate and chilling. 18 were 6 missing. 3 had fled the country years earlier. Among the 2 DEA agents ambushed in Matamoros in 2006. 1 had spent 2 years undercover. Only 6 people in the world knew his location. One of them was a Texas judge. Also listed were an FBI informant who vanished 1 week after testifying in Limas's court, 4 protected witnesses, and a local journalist investigating border corruption. Each death occurred days after the individual's name appeared in court records. Investigators reached a conclusion that redefined the case. Limas was not selling sentences. He was selling people. Data recovered from the surveillance hub pointed to a secondary communications center in Harlingen. Emergency authorization was granted. Operation Bloody Corridor was activated. Armored vehicles approached the warehouse just after 14 hours. Snipers took position. Entry teams breached with directional charges. Inside, suspects attempted to destroy servers and burn documents. 8 were detained. Data recovery exceeded 85%. The files expanded the case nationwide.
Limas will spend the next 6 years in federal prison plus 3 years probation. He must also pay over $6.2 million in restitution payments to numerous parties.
Distribution routes mapped to Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Warrants were executed within 48 hours. Warehouses raided. Car dealerships laundering money shut down. Labs dismantled. Distribution hubs exposed. 94 additional arrests. $18 million seized. Phone forensics delivered the final confirmation. Messages showed Limas personally recommending targets to the cartel. Informants he considered too effective. Agents he viewed as threats. A message sent days before the 2006 ambush read, "They're getting too close." The commander should know. Congressional testimony followed. Emergency audits ordered. 1,400 cases flagged for review. Abel Limas was convicted on 53 federal counts and sentenced to life without parole. As he was transferred, he did not look up. Operation Soul Court did not just expose a corrupt judge. It exposed how easily a system can be sold when trust goes unquestioned, and it left behind a warning that remains unresolved. Corruption does not announce itself. It embeds. It normalizes. It waits. If you believe justice should protect citizens instead of selling them out, stay engaged. Like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts below, because silence is where corruption survives, and exposure is where it ends.